Welcome, everyone. I'm so glad you all joined and you connected with us. So whether you're from Mystic, Stonington, New London, Bristol, New Hampshire, I'm so glad you're here. And if you haven't met me before on one of the prior Zooms, I'm Katy Giffault on windy Enders Island today. Happy spring. And if you suffer from allergies, happy allergy season like me. If you're not from the area, we are a gorgeous 11-acre island off the coast of Mystic, and we're connected by this really skinny, sweet little causeway. And we want you to all come visit. We just ask that you wear a mask and observe guidelines for social distancing, but everyone is welcome. It's just starting to perk up. The trees are budding. The grass is turning green. It just looks gorgeous. And just a few items, if you're new to Zoom or new to our Connections with Seniors calls, if you have question, comment, just click on that chat box at the bottom. And if I don't get to answer it during the broadcast, we'll certainly answer it in an email. So, and just a reminder that after the call, we always send out an email with all of the links. And you can also email me at kgiffault@endersisland.org. Thank you for all the emails, especially Charles, one of my big fans. Thanks so much, Charles. And again, welcome. A special shout out to my mom in Bristol. Hi, Mom, and my sister in New Hampshire. Hi, Amy. So my mom and many of you were the inspiration for designing this program. And one of the key pillars for Enders Island Mission is hope. And when you practice hope, you build resilience and you cope better with difficulties. So today we're bringing hope and good food and ideas and programs and more. We have 3 special guests. Our focus is on spring. And in the spirit of Passover and Easter holiday, our next 2 guests will be bringing great wine pairings and a special spring risotto recipe that I am assured any of us can make. And our first guest is actually bringing a very nice discount to help you get started with your spring planting. Marion is back with another recording of fantastic exercises. Hattie Shepard is here from the Amity program, and this time with some friends with a really fabulous message. And we have a couple of free Zooms to talk about and some important dates and another fantastic online class that I found from Yale that is just wonderful. So we cover a lot of resources, but don't worry, we include them all in the links in the email. And shout out to Carol. I think she's on the call today. We really appreciate the Rotary Club of Mystic and the Pfizer Foundation for their generous support of this seniors program. We wouldn't be able to do this without their support and help all of us through the pandemic. So thank you so much. And our first guest today is really, really busy after a long, long winter. And he and his team at Westerly Agway have been very, very busy. If you haven't been there yet, it's over on 31 Friendship Street in Westerly, and they're getting ready for the spring rush when we all start planting our window boxes and our gardens. And I'm going to be welcoming in 1 minute Peter Hall, who is the store manager, who always has all the answers to all of my gardening questions. And Peter is generously offering everyone, and I'll tell you more about how you get this, a 10% discount with this little card, and I'll tell you how to get it, to all the Connection with Seniors participants. And we've created a special garden giveaway that is included in a bag that will be in the Enders Island office and the Mystic Noank library. And inside you'll find not only the seniors discount card and some seeds, but these wonderful Jiffy pellets and directions if you haven't used them before. I use them in containers like my Swifter container, and it's really easy. You fill it up with warm water. These things puff up. You stick your seeds in the top, and 10 days later, hopefully you can see this. Mark, you'll tell me, oh, I have to pull it back. You'll get really sweet little blossoms just like this. So that's in the starter kit that we've put in with a number of other things in the gift bag. And again, you can pick that up at our office here on the island or at the Mystic Noank Library. So Peter is not here, according to my producer here, Mark. So he may be joining us in a few minutes because he is so busy at the Westerly Agway. But if Peter was here, I know he would tell you one of the tips that he told me was make sure when you're watering your seedlings, you water from the bottom, not from the top. And you use warm water because the seedlings don't want to be shocked. They get a little nervous if it's cold water. So a couple things to remember. Another piece of advice is wait until the last frost before you take these outside and put them into your garden. Because if you do it sooner, they'll go into shock. And I think another piece of advice he always gives is a couple of days before you're ready to put them in the ground, which is, I'm going to say mid-May, you can take them out during the day and let them get used to the cold weather. So if we see Peter join, we will patch him back in. So you'll let me know, okay, Mark? So we'll move on to another fantastic guest. I'm really excited to welcome, for the first time on Andrews Island, Alicia Bonasamino, and she is from the Slocum & Sons, purveyors of fine wines. And a special shout out to Kevin Wilds from Cast and Keg. Hopefully you're out there, Kevin, for arranging for Alicia to be here today. And she's brought a really beautiful array of wines, and they're between about $13.99 and $15.99. And Alicia will tell you why the one wine from Napa is a little more pricey. And she's got some great suggestions for pairings. So welcome, Alicia.
Hi, thanks for having me. So we've selected a group of wines that would go great with your Easter or Passover dinner, coming from all over the world, from Oregon to California to Spain and France. I've put them in this order because if you were to maybe pair your wines or course them out, this is probably the best way to do it, from lightest wine to heaviest wine. The first wine that I have is a cava, which is a sparkling wine from Spain. It's basically Spain's version of champagne. It's certified organic. This is Segura Viudas, and also certified vegan. It's made with 3 different indigenous Spanish grapes, so completely different than anything else in the world. But the bubbles are really small and delicate, very similar to those of champagne, at a fraction of the price. So champagne usually starts out around $40. Cava starts out around $10 up to $20. This one in particular is around $15, and absolutely delicious, perfect for appetizers or brunch. We've also brought a non-alcoholic wine from New Zealand. This is Giessen Sauvignon Blanc from Marlborough, New Zealand. The interesting thing about this wine is that with most non-alcoholic products, there is still a small amount of alcohol left in those, usually less than 1%. With Giessen Sauvignon Blanc, there is 0% alcohol. So what they do is they take their original Sauvignon Blanc that is around 12.5% alcohol, and they submit it into a vacuum, spin it really, really fast, and through that process, the alcohol vapors completely evaporate, and you're left with a totally 0% alcohol. The other great thing about this wine is that it's only 45 calories per serving, and that's always a really fun thing to have. Also, if you want to enjoy a glass of wine earlier in the day, but don't want to get too tipsy before dinner, this is a great option as well. Moving on to Oregon, we have A to Z's Riesling, which is all estate bottled in Oregon. This is a really beautiful wine. Sometimes when people hear the word Riesling, they only think sweet. This wine does have some sweetness, but it is not, I would not consider it sweet because there are so many other complex nuances to the wine itself. This would be an excellent pairing with the dish that we're going to be showing shortly, as well as if you're having Easter ham. The slight sweetness goes great with the saltiness. Also, a portion of the proceeds for this wine goes to funding bee research. So we have to save the bees to save the earth. Then we go on to Spain, where we are visiting Bodegas Ateca in Calatayud, Spain. This is 100% Garnacha, which is an indigenous Spanish varietal that it's coming from very old vines. The vines that grow these grapes are over 100 years old, which is really beautiful. So when the vine is older, it doesn't produce as much fruit. And basically the fruit that is produced is the best fruit that could be produced because it's kind of survival of the fittest, if you will. This is around $15. Going on to Faust, which is a Napa Valley Cabernet Sauvignon, the second label of a winery called Quintessa, kind of one of the most heralded wineries in Napa Valley. Quintessa would retail for around $200 a bottle. The reason for that being the very small production and the very high quality of fruit and land. Faust is the second label of that, also organic. This retails around $50. And lastly, we have Chateau Complet, which is from Bordeaux. This wine is certified kosher and Mourvèdre. It is a blend of Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, and Cabernet Franc. And those are our Easter and Passover selections.
Wow, that was awesome. I want to make sure everyone knows that we're going to be sending you the list of all of these wines and their names and their origin, because it is really so much information. Alicia, that was just awesome. And you talked about how old the wine vines were. What makes wine from Spain so special? I hear two people talk about Spanish wines a lot.
So in my personal opinion, the one shining thing about Spain is that when you're buying wine from Spain compared to another region of the world, so if you take Bodega Azteca compared to a wine from Napa Valley, California, or a wine from Burgundy, France, the wines qualitatively are very similar, though Spain is an excellent value. There's a great difference in price. The reason for that being Spain is a very dry area, which makes it a great growing region for wine. So they have a lot more production of grapes, and it allows them to keep the price down.
Wow. So I know this probably sounds like a silly question, but I don't know the answer, and maybe you can help us understand. How did they make wine sparkling wine?
Well, there's a couple different ways to do that. With cava and prosecco and champagne, it's through the fermentation process, which begins at the winery. So you start with unfermented grape juice that has natural sugars in it. You add yeast, and basically the yeast eats the sugar, which turns into alcohol and carbon dioxide. So usually with a wine that's still or a wine that's not sparkling, they cap the wine before, like they release the carbon dioxide. With sparkling wine, they keep it in the bottle. Or another way to make it in other regions of the world is you could simply take a still wine and add CO2 to it, although I prefer the natural method.
Wow. You are a scientist and a fountain of information, Alicia. So is it true that red wine always goes with beef and white wine always pairs with chicken and fish?
I don't think so. I think that might be, that's an old school rule, and you can follow that if you want. I like to believe that any wine can be paired with any dish, as long as you are very knowledgeable of the components of each thing when you're pairing them. A to Z Riesling, for example, I think would be an excellent wine to go with ham, and Bodega Azteca, I think, could go with salmon as well, although it's going to be great with the dish that's being prepared shortly. So I don't think that is a rule of thumb that you have to follow, but you can if you want.
Now, tell us a little bit about the best way to, from a timing standpoint, if you're planning your Easter or your Passover meal, how long should you uncork the wine before you're planning on serving it? Or does it always need to be decanted in, another vessel, so to speak?
That's a totally personal preference, although wines that are a little bit richer, so something that's a little heavier, Bodega Azteca, Faust, compared to something like Chateau Complet, these two, I would say you could open them earlier and have them decanted. How soon before dinner? maybe an hour at most.
An hour at most. Okay. And now after you've uncorked them, how long is it appropriate to imagine the taste won't disintegrate, so to speak, before you should consider having another party if you haven't used up all your open wine?
I say that I have kind of a 2-day rule with that. Although you can extend the life of opened wine if you refrigerate it. So you don't have to drink it cold. But if you uncork a bottle of red wine and only have a glass, and no, you may not have a glass for another 3 or 4 days, I wouldn't leave it on the counter. I would put that in the refrigerator, and before you're ready to drink it, take it out, let it get to the temperature that you're comfortable drinking it with. And that's a better way to preserve the qualities of the wine, to refrigerate it.
And that's true for red or white?
Red or white. And white does tend to last a little bit longer in the refrigerator.
Awesome. So when you think about the Napa wines that are more expensive and more pricey, is it really the taste that is the difference, Alicia? I mean, tell us a little bit about, I think it's over $50, that particular bottle, which must mean it's a pretty special bottle.
It usually has to do with the quality of the land that the fruit's coming from. Also, the land in California, especially Napa, is extremely pricey. I think that I'm pretty sure that an acre of land in Napa Valley right now is going for like $40 million or something like that in Napa Valley. So for 1 acre. And it's because the quality of the fruit is very, very high, and it's a little bit more limited.
Wow, that's really expensive real estate. I don't think I realized it was that high. That's incredible. Well, again, another shout out to Kevin from Casting Keg. You can find all of these wines. And if you don't know where Casting Keg is, it's on Clara Drive, below McQuaid's and just past Starbucks. And ask for Kevin because he just absolutely knows everything. And if he doesn't know, he calls Alicia, right?
That's right, sometimes.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it. And have a nice holiday. And for all of you, we'll be including the names of all of these wines in the email that goes out. So thank you again.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
So next we're going to welcome, and I'm so pleased that Carolyn Brill is here. And she is the director of special events right here on Enders Island. She brilliantly manages all of our special events, including Holy Smoke, which is a little reminder, August 14th of this year. And she's here today to share risotto with asparagus and peas. So I'm so looking forward to this because I'm not very successful at risotto and I want to be successful this weekend. So Carolyn, you're here to help us do that today.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. So risotto is a creamy Italian dish that tastes a lot like a rice version of mac and cheese. The one great thing with risotto is that it's gluten-free. So for many of us that are gluten-free, it's a great substitute for like a pasta dish or something like that. You might want to know what is arborio rice. Arborio rice is named after the commune of Arborio in the northwestern Italian region of Piedmont. Arborio rice is high in amylopectin starch, which gives it the risotto its creamy texture. So without any delay, I will go ahead and explain the process of making risotto, which is one of my family's favorites. We actually do serve it quite a bit on the island here because we do have some vegetarians, and we also some gluten-free gentlemen. So you can do it with butternut squash. There's many other things that you can add to it, mushrooms, whatever. So you can really play with it once you get the basics of how to make risotto. So the first step of making risotto, which is the most important step, is that you want to heat your chicken broth or vegetarian broth if you choose to use that to make a vegetarian option. So the process of heating the broth and adding the broth to the rice will allow it to continue to steam and cook. And if it's cold, then it slows down the process. So what you want to do is take a large pot and put in your 6 cups of chicken broth or vegetarian broth. So then what you would do is you are going to then, with this particular recipe of using peas and asparagus, you are going to take some butter and pop it into a Dutch oven. So a Dutch oven is just a heavier pot, which will allow for it to cook at a stable temperature. So you're going to go ahead, melt your butter, and then you're going to add your asparagus, which has been cut. You can peel the asparagus. I did this a little early this morning, so I didn't have time to peel it. And also some peas. And you're going to saute them until they're just crisp, and so that you can go ahead and not overcook them during the whole process. After you do this, and you can go ahead and remove them to a separate plate. And then you'll be adding them back in. You would go ahead then and add a little bit more butter and saute the onion till translucent, and then add the garlic and cook for 1 minute. You do not want that to brown. So you just want everything to be translucent and warmed. At that point, go right ahead and add your arborio rice to the onions and garlic. You're going to toast the arborio rice until slightly browned. Toasting the rice in the fat adds depth and flavor and prevents the grains from becoming mushy during the cooking process. And you can, if you choose to, at this point, you can go ahead and add a 1/4 cup of wine, which will just kind of level out the playing field. And if you choose not to use wine, which actually will cook off anyway, the alcohol content will cook off, you can just go ahead and just proceed with your chicken broth. Once this is all nicely toasted and browned, you're going to go ahead and add your chicken broth 1 cup at a time. And doing this, it is not labor intensive. You do not have to stand and watch it constantly. You just have to peek at it every couple of minutes, add a little bit more chicken broth, and then go ahead and keep stirring it every couple of minutes. So what you're going to do is you're going to cook the rice until it's al dente, which means just cooked through. So al dente means that it is still firm when bitten. Stir and taste and adjust any salt and pepper that you might use into the dish, and then return all of your vegetables back to the pot. I like to then add freshly grated Parmesan cheese, and then as well as a little bit of lemon zest at the end to just brighten it up a bit. And that is really all it takes to make risotto. The whole process takes about 25 minutes. And to do this for a holiday dish, or just wondering how much it would cost, it usually costs about $20 to purchase all the ingredients, which, as you can see, you will have plenty to make a couple of other dishes after that. And the servings, not that it's very important during the holiday season, the calories is about 277 per serving, and it does make 8 servings.
Wow, that is awesome. Now, tell me a little bit about if I don't have arborio rice, I really shouldn't try it. That's a really important component. It sounds like for the creaminess of risotto, that's what we need to make sure. And I think that
it actually is best if you use arborio rice because of the products that it has in it, so that it will be creamy.
I've never heard it.
And they actually do have a whole wheat version as well.
Oh, I've never heard it compared to mac and cheese. That sounds.
We like to call it a grown-up mac and cheese. And I neglected to say that I did produce this morning. So this would be your finished product.
Oh my gosh, that is beautiful. And so that looks like quite a bit. What's your suggestion? Not that I don't think everyone won't be gobbling that up, Carolyn, but what's your suggestion for leftovers?
Well, you can do one of two things. Leftovers heat up very nicely in the microwave if you're just going to have a little extra dish with a little bit of ham later on in the evening. But the other thing that you can do is you can make like a risotto cake, where you would just make like a little bit of a just like a little cake, and then coat it with panko, add it to some oil that's heated in a pan, and then fry it for about 3 minutes each side.
Oh my gosh, those sound like risotto pancakes.
Yes. I don't think that they have the same caloric intake as the plain risotto though.
Now, tell me a little bit about how you would pair that with meat or fish, or what other things would you serve in a typical, Easter brunch or Easter morning breakfast?
Risotto
or
As I
dinner,
said-
actually.
Risotto, as I said, you can play with it and you can add anything to it. Butternut, Ina Garten has an amazing recipe for butternut squash risotto, which is fantastic. So the other thing that I would do, this can be with salmon, it can be with ham, it goes beautifully with roast chicken. And I also think for Passover, or not just Passover, it could go lovely with a lamb.
Wow. So you mentioned that you can put in the peas and the asparagus. So if you have family members who aren't fond of asparagus for some reason, and you mentioned butternut squash, does broccoli work, or
Oh.
snap peas? Does it really, matter, or is it up to, the individual taste buds, so to speak?
It's really up to the individual taste buds, but you don't have to add any vegetables. It can just be a plain risotto, which is really adult mac and cheese.
Ah. And tell me again, I asked you this before we went on camera, about the lemon and why the lemon is a special touch, Caroline.
I think lemon brightens up almost any dish. So adding this with a lemon to the cheese and the vegetables that are in there and the onions and the garlic, it just gives them a little pop of flavor.
Now, do you use a special kind of onion? Is it a white onion? Is it a shallot? Is it...
I just used a regular white onion or yellow onion this morning, and that actually is what it calls for in the recipe.
Awesome. And just a reminder to everyone, we're going to have the recipe in the email. I can't wait to make this for my family this weekend. It really does look much easier than I thought it was going to be. And I wanted everyone to know that if you do have a small family celebration, please reach out to Carolyn in the Enders Island office. The number's on our website. And if you've ever attended an event here or read the amazing reviews, they are just massively delicious. So anything that Carolyn and her team serve is a treat. So thank you so much, Carolyn. And I think we might have to have you back in one of our following months, because this seems so easy. It was daunting to me to imagine making risotto, and now it seems very doable.
It is very doable. Thank you so much for having me, and everyone have a blessed Easter.
Thank you. So after you've eaten all of Carolyn's risotto, and if you're new to Zoom and new to our calls this month, we have a special series of videos from Marian Dodd from the Noank Community YMCA, and she's prepared these exercises that are easy for anybody to do in their home. We post them on YouTube. And this month, the focus is on core and balance. I have been missing my core. It has been missing for quite some time. I'm trying to find my core, and Marian's helping me do that. She also has senior wellness classes at the Noank Community YMCA if you want to check them out and attend live. I know a few people from the team have started going, and I might be motivated once I finish my vaccinations to start up. But again, you can find it on YouTube. We'll attach it in the email. And really, thanks again to Marian for making all of these videos for us. It's really much appreciated. So next, I mentioned Hattie from the Amity program, and you met her last month, and she's back with some friends to talk about the Pen Pal and Calling program. And I have to give them a special shout out. They're doing a special program, and this is one of the handwritten notes. This one happens to be from Justin. They've written in the last 2 weeks over 300 handwritten Pen Pal notes that we're not only putting in our spring bags, but we're also going to be distributing them with the VNA to over 300 patients in the next 2 weeks. And again, the letters from each of the students and the volunteers encourages you to either schedule a calling program or a Pen Pal program. So the calling program is 3 or 4 times a month if you want to sign up, and the handwritten letters are 2 times a month for written correspondence. So I'll play another short video from her team, and I'll be back in a second.
Hi, my name is Hattie Shafford, and I'm founder of the Amity program. The Amity program was founded to facilitate intergenerational dialogue. The 2 programs we're going to be covering today are our Calling program and our Pen Pal program. Our calling program is weekly phone calls, and our pen pal program is an ongoing correspondence. Grace is here to talk about her experience in both.
Hi, I'm Grace. I have been both a member of the calling program and the letter writing program. I love the letter writing program because I'm the only person in my family to receive actual handwritten letters. And to me, that is very fun to receive actual mail. My pen pal and I have found many things to bond over, such as musical theater and books, and we both love Pride and Prejudice. I love the calling program because my partner and I both bonded over food. We both love Chinese food, and we would always talk about our favorite meals we had that week.
Zach is here to talk about his experience with our telephone correspondence program.
Hi, I'm Zach, and I really love the Amity program. So the Amity program, it's really fun, it's laid back, and it's enjoyable. When I'm on a call with my partner, we speak about many different topics, ranging from current events to our favorite foods. I really enjoy how easy the Amity program is. All I have to do is pick up my phone and I'm able to talk with my partner. Calls normally last for me about an entire hour because my partner and I really enjoy these calls. But if an hour seems like too much or too little, you can change the call time to whatever you may like. I've realized that the Amity program is a great place to meet new people and talk during this crazy pandemic, where we are isolated at small places with little to no social interactions. The Amity program helps me break that barrier, so you have a chance to talk to kids like myself and Hattie.
Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed hearing from some of our participants. Hopefully you'll consider joining either our pen pal program or our telephone correspondence program. We have many students who would love to speak with you.
I don't know about you, but I'm just, my heart is warmed when I see those young people and their messages. It's such a delight to see this generation so engaged and so thoughtful. So I can't thank them enough. And again, just a reminder, when you do pick up your spring bag, and someone asked if we could mail it to them, and so absolutely email me your address if you are not local and you'd like me to mail it to you. I'm happy to do that. And inside your little spring package is a letter from one of the student volunteers from Amity. So if you want to start the program that way, that's another way to start it, is to reply directly to that letter. So a special thank you to Hattie and her friends. Again, she's in French class, so couldn't be here live, but I just can't get over how thoughtful and special this group of young adults is. What difference they're going to make in the world, for sure. So thank you again, Hattie. So I have two new recommendations back at one of my favorite places in town. And again, it doesn't really matter where you are, because these are free Zoom classes from the Mystic Noank Library, one of my favorite places. And by the way, it's going to be reopening on April 5th with social distancing in place. But two really interesting programs. The first one is from our friend Eric Caswell. If you haven't been on, he is the tech support at the Mystic Noank Library. And he's offering a program on April 19th, a digital photo organization. And it is really awesome. I mean, I don't know about you, but I have way too many photos on my iPhone or on my computer, and they're not very well organized. So this class is going to help in a very simple way for everyone to organize their photos. And the second one, which actually starts tonight, I'm going to be tuning in. You do have to register for it. It's free on their website. And Tim Watchman from Plantscapes of New England is going to start a 3-part series, and it's all free. And it's really about why we need to have native plants and grasses in our gardens, telling us which ones are invasive and to avoid. And this one caught my attention. It said how to plant for perpetual bloom and attract bees and butterflies. And I thought that was remarkable when Alicia talked about the winery that's donating money for bees I'm just going to buy the wine just for that, I think, because I think the planet needs more bees and butterflies for sure. So check out the native gardening class and Tim Watchman. And again, it's free and you can dial in from wherever you are. It starts tonight at 7. So you just go to the Mystic Noank library link and you can register right from their calendar. And I'll put it in the email link. The next update I have for you is on spring cleaning. I typically miss this, and this year I'm very focused on it because I did some painting over the pandemic. But every town in New England, I checked a couple other states, is hosting in Connecticut and Massachusetts or Rhode Island a hazardous waste and shredding day. And it's for your old paint cans, your car batteries, your oven cleaners, pool cleaners, and best of all, they offer shredding. And you don't have to be from that town to go to it. I called the town yesterday to make sure you don't have to be from Stonington or Groton or New London to go to the different dates. So the first one that's coming up is actually Saturday in Stonington on Alpha Street. And again, it's from 9 to 1 and it's open to anyone. The New London Hazardous Waste Day is on May 1st and on the 10th of July in Groton. And I'll again include the locations. They're at the New London High School and the Fitch High School in May and in July. So again, a reminder that you don't have to be from that town to go to it. Another thing before I forget is if you want to start a composting pile for your gardens, just remember that the critters outside may be really interested. I see my sister Amy nodding in New Hampshire, who has quite a collection of critters. She has some cameras actually that they post around her property, and everything from fisher cats to bears to moose to deer to coyote. And I believe a really, really not so nice porcupine that has done some real damage to one of her cute little dogs. So while compost is great, just be sure you're aware of what it might attract. I know in my backyard, we have coyotes and fisher cat and deer. So I only compost leaves and I don't put any food products out there. So I'm sure that many of you have experienced that. So the next class that I actually started this week was something that the New York Times reported on, and I thought it was pretty incredible to see that this class, The Science of Well-Being, has 3.3 million people who have signed up for it. So I thought this must be pretty good if that many people have signed up for it. And this professor, Laurie Santos, I've watched her first 2 videos, and the videos come out each week and they send you an email through Coursera. And again, it's free. She starts them in her living room, actually, and they include written material, her videos, and some references to some other books to read. And it's a 5-part series, and it talks a lot about misconceptions about happiness, why our expectations are sometimes unrealistic, what are the things that really do increase happiness, strategies to potentially reset your expectations, how you can put some of those strategies into practice. So you might want to think about signing up for it. You can watch it anytime. It's asynchronous, as they say. I certainly am engaged enough, and I've seen the first 2 videos to want to learn more. And I know this is still such a tough time with the pandemic, and have you got a vaccine? Have you not got a vaccine? You know, can you get one? And by the way, Amy Pisani again reminds all of us, if you need any help, I'll put her email again in the chat. I mean, not in the chat, in the email that I sent out, but Amy has offered, if you still haven't, no matter what state you're from, been able to connect, she's happy to offer assistance with Vaccinate Your Family, which is the nonprofit organization that she runs, as well as being president of the Rotary. Please absolutely reach out to her if you're having any trouble whatsoever. And there was a question in the chat about the date of the Stonington Hazardous Waste, and it is Saturday the 3rd. I may have mislabeled it as the 1st, and I'll thank you, let's see, Deb Newman, for giving me that heads up. I will double check, but I know it's Saturday. So if Saturday's the 3rd, that's my typo. Thank you, Deb, for catching that. So think about signing up for this class with the other 3.3 million people, and maybe we'll all be happier as we go through the class. So the next thing I found super cool and interesting, and if you're from the area, you may have watched over the last 6 or 7 years, the Ocean House in Watch Hill being rebuilt, which has been an amazing journey, so to speak, for the Royce family and all of the people in Watch Hill, frankly, who have seen it restored in an amazing fashion. There is on the Stonington Historical Society website a number of videos. Most of them are for things from quite some time ago in the 1800s and the late 1700s. But this one is a video of the Rice family talking about the preservation and the restoration of the Ocean House. So if you've driven by it or you've gone over for one of their summer events and you want to see a little bit about the history of it and what was there, absolutely, check it out. There is a lot of history in New England, and maybe it's because the current history is so challenging. It's much nicer to go back and look at things that have happened in the past. So I've been spending more time on that site. And it wouldn't be, a really wonderful start to spring if I didn't refer to, you'll have to come back to me, to the Farmer's Almanac. And I wanted to see what their predictions were, which I check every year for this spring. And this spring for the Northeast, it is predicted to be warmer than normal in our corner of the country, but the rainfall will be above normal in the Northeast. And anybody who was living through that rain last Sunday knows it seemed like it was much more than normal. But what I did find, which I thought was really charming, was this poem on the April page. So I thought it was just charming. April has fooled us, it has cooled us, spring has schooled us, expect the unexpected, hot as blazes, it won't faze us. Curtains of rain are certain to wane, but April days always amaze us. So there's your poem for the day. And if you don't have a Farmer's Almanac, it's on the front desk in the library of the Mystic Noank Library. So I frequently refer to it. And those of you that were up late last night must have seen how beautiful the moon was. It was just gorgeous. So there's your April poem. And I found another sweet saying from Mr. Rogers recently that I was doing for another presentation that reminded me when things are difficult and the news is hard and it's difficult to watch, his advice, which is the first way is to be kind to succeed. The second way is to be kind. And the third way is to be kind. So I really, I know that is so much about the mission of Andrews Island as well, kindness. So a little piece of advice from Mr. Rogers. And I actually have an update from Charles, who really wanted to share with all of us on the call a program that he is near and dear to his heart. And I wasn't aware of it until Charles sent it out, but it is the Classical Liberal Arts Academy, which has an amazing amount of online resources, a library, courses that is open to everyone, seniors, young, everyone. And because it's free, it can save you a lot of money. It is classical liberal arts, and it may just be, absolutely the thing you're looking for. So Charles is suggesting that you Google the Classical Liberal Arts Academy, and it is, really, really engaging and has got terrific content. So thank you for mentioning that, Charles. And again, anything that you have to share or books that you've really enjoyed reading. I don't know if any of you were able to go on to Hoopla. You can just raise your hand on the Zoom, but I'm now a Hoopla fan. I think it is such a great resource. If you haven't, if this is your first time on a monthly Zoom, when you go to YouTube and you put in Ender's Island Connections for Seniors, you can see the prior month's videos where Eric Caswell and I talked about Hoopla. And again, it's a free service with videos and books and ebooks and movies and TV shows. So you don't have to subscribe to all of those cable services. I'm sure the folks at Netflix and Hulu won't be happy about me saying this, but it's all free on Hoopla. And the libraries all around Middletown and Newport and Niantic and New London and Groton all subscribe to Hoopla. And all you need to do is have your library card. Now, I, of course, do not know where my library card is from 20 years ago when I moved here, but they can look up your number. Eric Caswell assured me that they make it easy for you to sign up. So any other recommendations, we're welcome to share. And I want to just repeat again that the journal is in the spring bag. And please don't hesitate to send me your written address if you want me to mail it to you. And something to look forward to, next month, we'll be talking about our dahlia bulbs that Gail, who is famous for absolutely planting and curating the most gorgeous gardens here on the island. Here's a preview, and you can see some of it in my fake background behind me. It's real background, it's just fake today. We'll have the date for when those bulbs go on sale. We're also developing, by popular demand, a new garden video series that I know many of you will be wanting to tune into. So your gardens can look like the gardens here at Ender's Island. And April 28th is our next Zoom. So love to have ideas, thoughts, and again, a sincere thanks to the Rotary. Shout out again to Carol Kent. I think she's on the call today. Cheers, and put in the chat box any other ideas or email me directly, and we'll be happy to continue to thrive and see hope and enjoy good food and really have a blessed Easter, everyone. And don't forget to check out Marion's exercises. And a special thanks to the amazing Ender's Island team, Deb and Jacinta and Mark and Dan, and welcome Mike. So please share the the Zoom information with anyone else you think might be interested for next month. And we thank you again. So cheers, everyone. Bye, Mom. Bye, Amy. Bye, Trish.